What's up, y'all? It's your boy Showtime Doctor. So I wanted to go ahead, we could do a review now that the game's been out on global for a week. But basically, I wanted to check out the reviews and what's going on with the Steam association of this game, because it's been in Korea, it's been in China, it's been in Japan. And now that we've had it a week, I wanted to go ahead and see what everyone was talking about. So let's go ahead and get to that. We got Meow Cat here. Obviously must be a hardcore critic with that name. So this is a not favorable review, and does actually bring up some good points, whereas I don't necessarily agree with everything, but let's go ahead and get into it first. PX5 does have some redeeming qualities, but even as a hardcore Persona fan, if you are not already preconditioned to tolerate gacha games, which has been a big issue, and 16-Bit Bear actually released a good video on dealing with gacha mechanics for first-time gacha players that really love the Persona series. I'll recommend that one, but while we're at it here, let's keep going. You have to force yourself to enjoy every issue that plagues the game just so you can enjoy it. P5X is in every single way an inferior product compared to real quote-unquote Atlus games that should be expected with its free-to-play label. But the lack of quality control and polish to this game is an embarrassment to Atlus as a developer with such a great track record, and I really have to wonder if the money they'll make off the whales is enough to not make them regret licensing the IP to Black Wings. I highly doubt that's going to be a thing. Maybe like the purest artistic creators might actually have that thought, but business is business, so it's kind of hard to criticize a company that wants to make money. How they make money you can criticize, but let's get back to it. We can start with the user interface and experience, which is one of the main reasons Persona 5 has become so popular. I completely agree. The Persona series, not only did they take over the turn-based RPG #1 GOAT, in my opinion, from Squaresoft / Square Enix, who is now regretting that choice, funny enough, but anyways, back to what we were talking about. Their UI is so iconic. They even make like the pause menu fun. Like, it's just incredible. Just all the flash and pomp and circumstance, and just in general, the best UI in gaming, hands down. Let's see here. Simply put, Persona 5's interface is a janky, poor-designed mess, which was clearly made with mobile devices in mind only, resulting in one of the worst controller experiences I've had in a long time. I personally play this on keyboard, so I guess this dude must be doing controller. I don't have that much experience on controllers, so I'm gonna have to check that out, but I don't know if this guy's anti-keyboard or something, because it works perfectly fine on keyboard for the most part. There are a couple things that it gets kind of awkward, like when you're running around the palaces, and you take cover, and then you got all these options, and sometimes the place you want to go with your sneaking isn't necessarily where you end up. So yeah, that can get kind of old. But you know, like UI things, that happens in most games. Let's see here. From menus breaking to touchscreen buttons taking up half the screen, even on PC, to please tap screen to progress. That sounds more like tutorial stuff. Famously, Angry Joe, the famous video game reviewer, he actually flamed out reviewing Persona 5 Royale because he was so mad at the tutorial. Which the tutorial does take a long time, but you know, it's part of the game. Like, there is a lot of stuff to learn, but yeah, a little less hand-holding would be cool, in my opinion. Let's see here. To having to put entire button combos to navigate menus instead of a proper menu. That is one criticism I will agree with. There are some things in the menu that's just like, where the heck even is this thing? And you search and search and search, and eventually you find it, and it's in some weird sub-menu somewhere. So, PX5 was absolutely not ready to be released on PC. I disagree with that, because it's been on PC for a long time in Korea, so disagree. And I can tell why it hasn't released on console yet. Well, that could actually be a couple things. Negotiating with console companies isn't exactly the easiest experience, especially since a lot of them are still stuck in their 1990s mindset. Nintendo. Some character portraits are full of crunchy compression artifacts. Is that so? Let's see. Crunchy compression artifacts. And is fine. You don't want to show me jokers. Maybe he's talking about like the 4-star characters. Because I don't notice like a low quality art or anything in this game at all, so I don't know, maybe he's like an art head that's like really like finicky, which some people can get. My art. So compressed. I guess it could be compressed, I'm not sure. Because like the characters themselves look fine. Sometimes the personas look a little low res, so maybe that's what he's talking about. Let's go ahead. We'll go to this character. See how low res they are. Oh wow, they're so low res they don't even get a freaking profile picture. Well, there you go. Anyways. Alright. Lighting is often fine, but with certain effects making the world feel like it's made of plastic. Rainy days, just slap a reflection filter on literally everything. Oh, okay, we can definitely look at this. I got a rainy day going right now. So let's see here, a reflection filter. Let me go ahead. Get rid of this for right now. I mean, I don't know, like, even if it is a reflection filter, it's not like it looks bad. Like, what do you want? Like, gigantic high-res rain everywhere? I don't get that complaint personally. I think it looks fine, but... And for the record, I do have like a 4090, which, you know, it's not necessarily going to make the rain look better, but I'm trying to find like a good place we can go for like a good reflection or something. Or some contrast. Probably the subway is not the best idea. I don't know, it doesn't look like terrible, like I'm going to like write a big critical review about it, so I don't get that personally. Just saying. Okay. Let's see here. In terms of gameplay feel, scroll down here. It feels like I'm playing an amateurish recreation of the game in Unity. I wouldn't go that far. It does actually feel a lot like the real Persona world, so I think that's an unfair critique, personally. Character movement is extremely stiff, while there are some really good animations and voice work. I agree there. There are also really bad animation errors. Sprint in daily life was removed. Now, that is a criticism I will agree with, because I would like to be able to sprint places, but at the same time, it's not making or breaking my appeal, because how often are you really running in life, you know? The same thing with jumping and etc. How often are you really doing that in just every day? I'm going to school, I'm going to work, I'm going to hang out. Not necessarily a thing, so that doesn't really break it for me personally, but for this guy, it's apparently the entire global world for him. Clearly because there's too many hotkeys taking up the controller. But once again, I'm using keyboard. Keyboard function's fine. The sprint function does not exist in the metaverse. Not only feels sluggish due to its virtually not increasing your speed and no changes to field of vision. Yeah, I mean, this is the normal field of vision in metaverse. Let's go ahead and go to a palace and see. Like, how much more field of vision? I guess what I should do is, try to compare this to some P5 screens.
Okay, let's get to work. Come on, Joker.
I don't know, does this look like a horrible field of vision to y'all? Oh no, I can't do, and there's sprint for me, so... I think he was saying that sprint wasn't a thing. Now look how hard that was. You saw the menu there, so it wasn't that big a deal, so I think that's an unfair critique. It's actually faster to consistently tap the sprint button due to the initial dash. likely another symptom of mobile design. The third eye mechanic works on an unnecessary cooldown system that darkens the screen to the point where you can't even see anything. That does happen sometimes. I did notice that in the first dungeon. There definitely is a cooldown mechanic. Stealth mechanics, quote unquote, not only feel like garbage, they are entirely useless as enemies are genuinely unable to react, and you can run laps around them before hitting them in the face and still get player advantage. Okay, let's find an enemy. Go ahead and see if we could put that one into practice. Okay, so I can apparently run laps around this dude. This isn't that big an area to run laps. Let's see. Doing laps. He's after me. Doing laps again. Yeah, I guess that's probably a fair critique. Huh? Oh, he got me. Ugh. That's life. Okay. So let's see here. Still get player advantage. That is true. I could have got player advantage multiple times there. Because of the game's online nature, the flow between dungeon and battle is constantly broken, as you can sometimes have the game freeze for upwards of 10 seconds to load a battle scene. Yeah, I suppose probably on PCs that are lower end than mine. Not sure about phone. I haven't really played this on phone too much. Selecting skills, targets, and highlighted skills sometimes feels extremely sluggish, and I can't tell if it's server-side lag or pure janky animation flow. That's 100% probably whatever device you're using. Sometimes server. Server always comes eventually, but not all the time. The game's combat just doesn't feel like watered-down Persona. It's an insult to the games. Characters have 3 skills with extremely wordy descriptions, full of numbers, percentiles, and decimals. That is a fair criticism in my opinion. Let's go ahead. We'll take Anne here. Look at things. Fire damage to all foes, 81.6%, etc. Anne's attack by 20%. And yeah, some of these can get kind of wordy, so... And I have been reviewing with Per Platypus and 16-Bit Bear, among others. There are numerous translation things and things that appear to do one thing when in fact they actually do another if you were playing on the Korean server like we were. So yeah, that can definitely be a thing with some of the characters. Characters have 3 skills with extremely wordy descriptions full of numbers and percentiles and decimals that feel overwhelming at first. But if you quickly realize none of them matters, just use setup skill, use sweep skill, all-out attack, GG. Upgrades are extremely superficial, often... Let's see here. Often increasing the ability's damage by less than 1%. Aha, I got him beat here. Which is the usual gacha balance pitfall, as numbers are so large that buffs have to be extremely small. Oh, he's talking about upgrades, maybe. Actual buff percentages themselves are usually pretty high. Persona building, a core aspect of Megumi Tensei, is not only generally pointless, it is actively advised against. Very small agree in the sense that the early Personas, you're actually wasting mats if you build up more than a couple. Really, level 50 is around the first time that you really got to start thinking about build your Persona, give them extra skills, the increased levels, the extra clones, etc. But I wouldn't say it's all game, though, so I think that's an unfair criticism. That just sounds like someone who played the game for 10, 20 hours and got mad. Let's see here. The One More system is heavily watered down in a blatant, obvious attempt to curb game-breaking strategies. Abstaining from all-out attacks or baton passes is a very common thing in quote-unquote real Persona games. While here, you do not have the option. Yeah, it is kind of annoying that once you get the once more, you basically aren't able to choose a skill. You will just do whatever your persona normally does. And yeah, that is something that I would agree with him on critique-wise as far as the combat. Let's see here. While you do have the option, all it does is literally eat all your turn with no compensation. In fact, simply getting an extra turn at all is an innate trait of Joker, who is a gacha-locked character with a drop rate of 0.04%. Well, it's a gacha game, dude. Like, come on. despite being the protagonist of the games this entire gacha is based upon. I do find it weird that Joker doesn't have every element anymore, but it's like, dude, what do you want? Like, that's what Wonder's for. We got Wonder. If we had 2 people with every element, that would be so freaking overpowered. Persona games are more than just hit, weakness, and all-out attack, but PX5 waters down the gameplay to those absolute basics to make the gameplay loop as narrow as possible and make the sole determining factor of success your character's element and level. Well, that's a very common thing in most Persona games, so I disagree with the overall criticism there. It's egregious how historically the protagonists and male party members with physical strength attributes have been disproportionately game breakers in Persona games. Why is that egregious exactly? The one game where the complete opposite is true is coincidentally a gacha game. That just sounds like propaganda stuff to me, because Persona 3 you could totally play as a girl character, so that's ridiculous. Persona 4... I mean, Kanji's really strong. Of course, your main character's really strong, Yui, but... I mean, Jesus, dude, Chie's a monster. Yukiko can be a monster. Rise's freaking invaluable as a Navi. So I think that falls hollow in my experience. Persona 5, same thing. Queen is an absolute freaking monster that you can basically almost beat the game just with her if you build her up enough. Anyway, so that just sounds like propaganda nonsense. Battles might feel challenging at times, but victory is almost never earned. You either get steamrolled or steamroll the enemy, with the primary deciding factor being whether or not you possess a 5-star, 0.04 ultra-rare gacha drop character that is specifically designed for the challenge, and stuff them full of upgrade items, which are farmed at a snail's pace with a stamina system. Okay, that's absolute hogwash, that entire paragraph, because... number one, we're playing a gacha game at first, but number two, there are totally people on Korean, and I've seen 16-Bit Bear do it. You can beat all the story stuff with just the characters that they hand you without pulling any of the gacha characters. So that just sounds like this dude's just psyching himself out, like a doomer, basically. So, I don't have super character X, so I can't do it. Yeah, you can. You just gotta put the time in to do it. And getting mad at a stamina system in the game. Dude, there are literally people in, well, all across the world that if you don't put a stamina system in, they'll play this game 24 hours a day and never do anything and neglect their family, neglect their life. Hollow criticism there. The only battles which are not designed this way are main story ones, which are relatively normal, quote-unquote. But of course, even if you did want to stick to the main story and beat it, and just be done with the game, there are several player-level gates which will force you to grind side activities over the course of several real-life days. The side activities are all easy. What is this guy talking about? You can speed up the day to go precisely to the time that you need to do the thing. What? Is he talking about, like, building up relationships with people? That's in every Persona game, pretty much. Okay, let me read it. Let me read the second part. Player level gates, which will force you to grind side activities over the course of several real-life days. Your engagement and retention is the developer's sole priority. Well, that's any game. That's anything. That's like a side hobby for people. Yeah. You're gonna get mad because you're at the yoga class and the yoga teacher wants you to practice your technique. How dare he? I should be able to do this instantly. Come on. Let's see here. There are some good ideas here. Let's not be entirely negative. I like magic crits, which do not cause knockdown. I like the idea of several mini-buffs. I actually don't like that, by the way. I like the idea of several mini-buffs and procs on skills, even if the ones in PX5 are garbage. And I do like the knockdown barriers. Highlight is frankly a better mechanic than Persona 3 Reload's 3G. Bro, Persona 3 came out in like 2000 or 1990 something, like... Why are you comparing those two games? We're a quarter of a decade later, but okay. I also like bosses having unique mechanics, as they should, but PX5 handled them terribly by making them so abstract that they need a tutorial popping up explaining exactly how it works. Is he saying like he can't figure out the boss mechanics? What boss did he have a problem with? There are mechanics for like the second boss, actually, the second palace boss, who most people haven't dealt with yet. He has some mechanics that you really have to pay attention to. The third palace boss that isn't even out yet here, that dude, yeah, he has some mechanics, but that's like, bro, you're gonna be in like your high 40s, early 50s when you fight those guys. So yeah, you got to be a veteran by that point. They're not gonna hold your hand necessarily. You just gotta figure it out. Now, all Persona games have had tutorials on boss fights, like, or even like certain mechanics that they want you to see. Where it's like, oh, look at what he's doing right here, huh? Oh, they have this ad here, like the Yukiko fight when the prince appears. They specifically pointed out, like, oh, the prince is getting powered up by her. We gotta do something about it. And every turn he's up, she keeps continuously doing her big AoE. That's a lot of damage, so we gotta take him out and shut him down. Like, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing to pop up and show you. They always do it in story. It's not like they're sitting there with like a 20-page tutorial that you have to review. So that's a dumb, in my opinion, dumb comment there. Adding to that, it's borderline insulting how every puzzle in the story is completely nullified by putting red arrows pointing towards the solution. I actually don't mind that, because personally I don't like puzzles in games. I actually think they're overused. The purpose of puzzles back in the day when games were limited on how much space they could actually use, unlike today, such as a Nintendo cartridge, etc., was to get players to go and reuse spots that they've already been to so that they could artificially lengthen the game. And largely, to be perfectly honest, puzzle mechanics really aren't needed. They're just, a lot of people like puzzles. I personally am not that into puzzles. But in Persona games, you know, there should be a couple because they've been in most of the games, right? So, but that's largely a feature that you don't actually need anymore in video games, to be quite honest, because, yeah, look at the space this game takes up, and not to mention all the other games that we have nowadays where you basically have unlimited space as long as people have space on their devices. You can't even avoid or disable it, so you think for yourself the quote-unquote puzzle is literally just a formality, as the game treats you like an idiot and the solution is waypointed and marked. There are so many puzzles in the palaces that does not bother me at all, so to be perfectly honest, I'm perfectly fine with that. Like, I got things to do, and there's already enough time put into a game like this. Some side stories and activities are really fun, and there are glimpses of the game I've grown to be a massive fan here, but the fun is constantly stripped away from you. I won't even mind a AAA $70 Persona game that worked on a real-life, real-time calendar basis. What, like altered reality type thing? Maybe like Pokemon Go-ish? I think it's unorthodox, but it could be really fun. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, bro. The overwhelming upgrade material farms in place of real battle XP, the character gacha, the current stamina systems, however, leave much to be desired, and you will eventually have moments with your daily playtime, daily quote-unquote, is basically a handful of minutes long. Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing. If I got a busy day, I gotta work extra, I gotta be with the family, sometimes you just want to come on, be done with your dailies in 10 minutes. But that's a great option. Yeah, so I don't know why that's a criticism from him. The main story is a joke, I disagree, and I can totally understand why Atlas has decided to step in for future patches. The idea of a guy who slams into people on the subway for fun having his own palace is laughable, when in the main game he would have just been a small Mementos mini-boss, backstory notwithstanding. See, that to me kind of tells me that he didn't even read the story. Like, there's a whole thing between him and Closer, how he injures Tomoko, and, you know, basically puts her career in ruins, not to mention he's basically jaded because his own baseball career didn't work out. Like, that's perfectly fine for a palace. Like, in comparison to what, like, I still think Kamoshida is the best villain the Persona 5 franchise has ever had. So all stories are going to basically pale in comparison to his, but Madarame, the artist guy, that story wasn't that much different when you come to Severity. And then the new story with the ramen. Yeah, I don't see those as bad stories, so I think that's just sour grapes on this gentleman's part. Backstory notwithstanding, I'm not even trying to compare the guy to major antagonists like some memes have. He's specifically a narrative parallel to Kamoshida for P5, but he doesn't even come close. No one comes close to Kamoshida. That's one of the main criticisms I would have for Persona 5 is your best villain is the one you launched with. And there should have been a way in the game, because especially, I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't played the expansion, but the expansion boss was just like, dude, really? Jeez. Okay. It could have been. You should have just had Kamoshida come back somehow or something similar. I don't even want to comment too much on the gacha mechanic itself. The culture is creating hundreds of accounts until you get the perfect start is obnoxious. Well, you don't have to do it. I didn't do it. Bear didn't do it. A bunch of people didn't do it. You just start playing the game. Even if you do, you will eventually get burned. The only free-to-play friendly gachas are the ones that swiftly declare end of service. Wow. It sounds like this guy just had, like, some gacha-itis, gacha-phobia or something. He probably got screwed on a gacha at some point. We all know what we're getting into when we're signing up, and like I said, for you guys that are Persona fans that haven't played gacha mechanics before, 16-Bit Bear put out an amazing video on dealing with gacha mechanics in these games, so highly recommend that. 350 people found this helpful. He's got 24 take my point, 17 this guy's a clown, which I guess I should add to here. Farm those points, homie, farm those points. 3 clevers and 19 various other awards. Yeah, so he makes some valid complaints there. I'll give him that. He does have some valid complaints there. The UI stuff, searching around in menus, some of the dashing stuff, that type of stuff. But overall, it's not like it completely ruins the experience. So I don't quite get why this dude's going that far necessarily. But hey, everyone's got their own opinion. He's entitled to his, I'm entitled to mine, and you're entitled to yours. So let me know, what did you think about what this gentleman said? Is there really that big a problem when it comes to... And also, if you don't mind, let us know, are you a Persona fan that's never played a gacha before? Are you a gacha main, perhaps, that's never seen the Persona universe before? It could be a couple things. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about that, because as a topical discussion, I mean, there's always going to be critics no matter what you do, right? So, this guy's totally trolling me here. Got him. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I'm trying to bring some topical videos up because... You know, you got your guide, you got your, look at me, I'm Uber, look at me, I'm amazing. And you don't really have too many people talking about the actual game as far as what impact is it making, how is it treating you, what do you think should be the future, how's your experience been with the game. So that's what I'm going to try to bring a little bit more of on this channel. And if you haven't already, since you made it to the end of the video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Take care.